Hey guys, it's been a while since I took the Basket Case BMW to the drag strip. So in this video, that's what we're gonna do. Just a quick recap, the Basket Case is an E46 BMW that I bought super cheap and turned into a weekend fun car. This car was already trashed when I bought it. As a matter of fact, they were gonna send it to the scrapyard, so I basically saved it from the crusher. I stripped out the interior and deleted a bunch of unnecessary stuff to reduce the weight. So far, I've removed about 530 pounds from the car. The last time I went to the racetrack, the weather conditions were perfect. The air was cool and there was a tailwind, and the car was able to do the quarter mile in 14.2 seconds. Those results were encouraging, so I decided I wanted to get into the 13s with the stock engine and transmission. Unfortunately, that turned out to be more of a challenge than I anticipated. I struggled with maintenance issues. For example, the transmission did not want to shift properly. It took some time to figure out the problem. Shortly after that, I took the car out of service to completely replace the suspension. So it's been a while since the last trip to the racetrack. Needless to say, I was eager to go back to the racetrack. This time around, the car is about 50 pounds lighter than last time. Plus, the issue with the transmission is fixed, so hopefully we can get some good results. Unfortunately, on the way to the track, the car started acting funny. It kept wanting to stall at stoplights, but aside from that, the engine seemed okay. So I continued on. Okay, here we are at Orlando Speed World. Let's get signed in and get ready to race. The racetrack wasn't very busy, so it didn't take long for me to get on the track. But I got there a little late, so I might only get 2 runs before they close. Okay, so my first run was 14.3 at 95 miles an hour, and that was a bad launch. For some reason, the car won't let me power brake it. When I'm holding the brake pedal, it won't let me give it throttle, so I can't launch it properly. But this is promising. I mean, my fastest pass previous to this was a 14.2, and this is a 14.36. So, if I can get a proper launch, I can probably get a personal best. Just to clarify, I tried to hold the brake and rev the engine at the starting line. That helps the car launch better. But for some reason, the engine won't rev up when I'm holding the brake pedal. So the engine didn't respond until after I let off the brake pedal, and that slowed me down. On the next run, I'm going to try proactively letting off the brakes so the engine will respond faster. Let's see if that helps. Okay, this time around we got 14.5 at 95 miles an hour. Once again, it's doing that thing where if I touch the brake pedal, the throttle won't do anything. So at this point, I don't think there's really any point in beating up on the car anymore, so we're just gonna go home. And we'll have to figure out what's going on. Maybe it's a bad MAF sensor or a bad throttle body or something. I'm not sure. Check it out. If I push the brake pedal, the gas pedal won't do anything. But if I let off the brake pedal, interesting. So I did some reading online, and some people say that if the mass airflow sensor is bad, that might cause the problems that I'm having. Now, I tried disconnecting the electrical plug and reconnecting it a couple times, but apparently that doesn't have any effect, so the mass airflow sensor might be bad. When I got home, I scanned for trouble codes, and I found a code for a faulty mass airflow sensor, so I replaced it. When I removed the old one, it had a burnt electrical smell. After the new one was installed, the trouble codes went away. Also, the engine runs better. Okay, the new MAF sensor did the trick. The engine runs great. Also, when I put it in gear, it doesn't want to stall anymore. So that's cool. Also, the one issue I had at the racetrack where it didn't want to rev up when I pushed the brake pedal. Yeah, we fixed that too. Awesome. And on that note, it's time to head back to the racetrack and get some redemption. If you remember, my previous best was 14.2 seconds at 97 miles an hour. If I can beat that time, I'll be happy. Although I'm hoping I can get in the 13s. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, here we are at Orlando Speed World. Unfortunately, the track was super busy. There was a racing event that weekend and the racing teams were getting their machines dialed in. So we had to wait a while. But on the plus side, we got to see some cool race cars. But eventually, we got to take our turn. Unfortunately, this in-car footage has a lot of background noise. I guess the camera mount was loose or something and it was rattling, and unfortunately that came through the microphone. So I had to do a lot of editing here. I had no idea it was rattling like that until I got home and reviewed the footage, so my apologies. Anyway, let's do some racing. Oh, so close! 14.1 at 97 miles an hour. If you remember from a long time ago, my goal was to get into the 13s with the stock engine and transmission. We're really close, but not quite there yet. So in the next run, I'm going to try shifting the transmission manually, and maybe that'll help. sure if you could hear it in the video, but the car was having trouble getting traction, so unfortunately I didn't break any records this time. Oh well, I got one more try and then I'm gonna go home. Unfortunately, once again, I could not get traction, and actually this time, it was even worse. 16 seconds. Blah. Before we end the video, I'd like to make a few comments. First of all, we have a new personal best, 14.1 seconds at 97 miles an hour. I was hoping to get in the 13s, but maybe next time. Also, on the second run, I initially thought the car lost traction. But after some thought, I think it was actually the transmission slipping. I actually felt the car shudder in first gear, then it recovered and took off. You may also notice the engine hitting the rev limiter when the transmission shifts. Long story short, this transmission is basically worn out. I have no plans to rebuild it because I'm going to replace it with a manual gearbox anyway. There are a couple things I can do to reduce the weight of the car even more. And maybe that can get me into the 13s, even with the worn out transmission. I guess we'll have to see. Anyway, that's it for this video. See you next time.